Now, as you guys may know, Todesritter is German for Knights of Death. Now, I'm not familiar with Missing Link. This could very well be a deadly machine, but as far as I know, the kit itself is detrimental to my mental health for a multitude of different reasons. Man, this kit is going to be the death of me. What is going on, guys? MJ2005 Gundam here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the P-Bandai high-grade Todesritter from Bosu Gundam Side Story Missing Link. Now, right off the bat, this kit does give me a lot of mixed opinions, just because I really do like the build process of it, apart from all the stickers, which I'm going to address later. But I also do like the finishing product, and also the ability to choose between the two modes when you're assembling them. Of course, a lot of people voted for me to build it in the Hades mode, that's why I went for that. Plus, it's more torture, so why not? But then again, the construction is pretty good. There are some extensions in the arms that allow for maximum articulation, which is pretty good, and they stay on pretty well. But in the subject of structural integrity, the backpack is not really that good, because the binders that store the incoms are basically like the cannon of the RX-7802 Gundam. Whenever you move them around, it will start to come off a little bit. It's as if it is on a screw, and then eventually it will fall off. Things will only get worse if you shift the center of gravity by launching the incoms out with the wires. So yeah, that's basically insult to injury. And what's more, the stickers are horrible. Now, not only do you get the basic stickers, kind of like the eyes and the sensors, but you do also get some stickers for the vents on the forehead, the cheeks, the back of the head, and also I need to mention this rear eye, just because there is actually a protruding detail part that is the eye. So if you want to paint that in, you could, but if you want to use stickers, you have to either shape your sticker around the eye, or basically by hook or by crook cut the eye off and leave it as a flat surface. That's what I would advise, because it's torture putting that on. And of course, you do have the vent on the underside of the head. You do have the sensor here, vent here, vents here, vents here, but the thrusters over here you can leave out if you are building this in the normal mode, because thank god they're molded in gray. And then you do also have some details over here underneath the binders. You do have all the vents on the front skirts, but I think you can also leave the crotch piece out if you are building it in the normal mode. Of course, you do get the gold details underneath the grills of the vents. You do get the white ones over here, which looks horrible as per usual. You do get the ones over here that fold inwards that are not good, and then you do get all the vents that are starting to come off on the front over here. So basically 10 stickers for the front of the legs, and of course there's this one sticker underneath the crotch that is dangerously close to where the stand adapter goes. So that's a lot of stickers, and here's more, just so you guys can build the normal mode of the Todesritter. So basically this is kind of like a Stargazer situation, except for them not separating the sticker sheets. And to go with the normal mode construction, here is the normal eyepiece. But fun fact, this one does not glow under UV light, while the Hades eyepiece does glow in UV light. Just so you guys are wondering. So overall, this kit, the construction is pretty okay on the main body, but not so much on the backpack. But man, the stickers, it's just hell. Articulation wise, I had to take the backpack off lest I devolve into a raging Hulk. So let's get on with it, shall we? On the head, you do get a polycap ball joint that allows for funky chicken, rotation, tilting, anything that you expect a double ball joint can do, but it's a little bit tighter, that I appreciate. Now, the arms do swivel out with the polycap, but not really that much. You can also rotate the arms, obviously, and the arms cannot go out too far, so not even perpendicular to the body, which the sub arms and the shoulders can kind of explain, because you do need some space for those mechanics. The shoulder flap can move. Now, the sub arms over here are on a hinge and an extending joint inside of the shoulders, which is pretty nice. And then you do have a hinge here, a hinge here, a hinge over here, and of course the opening claws, which I can't get my grip on without obstructing you guys. And there goes the torso. Well then, polycaps, am I right? And of course you do get a rotating joint over here, and you do get kind of like a ball joint inside of the claw, but it's kind of hard to access it. So you do get plentiful amounts of articulation in the sub arms themselves. The arms themselves can rotate above the elbow, Bend at the elbow at 2 joints, which is pretty good, but also there is an extended mechanic for you to allow for maximum articulation, just so the shoulder armor does not get in the way. The wrists over here, they of course have a wrist joint, which is pretty nice, and a ball jointed wrist itself. Now the waist, despite the looser polycap, this kit can pull off minimum amounts of crunches, so that is decent at the very least. And of course you can do some rotations despite the hosing over here, because it's not connected to anything but the skirts. And of course now the front skirts can be separated without any ill effects. The side skirts can be shifted up, although they are on those stupid polycap ball joints that were used for the old Gundam, let's say. And then of course the back skirts, they can move, which is a pretty good surprise. And then the legs, they do have a swinging down mechanic that swings the legs back. Of course, it can be very useful in aerial poses. Now, the legs can go forwards pretty good, backwards all the way, thank you Bandai, and of course off to the side all the way, which is pretty nice. Rotation at the hip, a double jointed knee that provides pretty good articulation for the bulk, and then the ankle flap can move up and down, which is pretty nice. The thrusters can also move a little bit, and then the foot can go forwards and back, side to side, rotate a little bit, and no toe movement. Now let's move on to the backpack. Now the fuel tanks are on slight ball joints towards the side, so you aren't going to get too much articulation out of those, but you do get some basic adjustability. The beam sabers are the same case, they are plugged onto the ball joint towards the side, so they do have pretty okay adjustability. Now the incom housing units, they can of course rotate at the base, but be careful with that. They can also swivel out, and they can rotate, and of course they can shift a little bit at the base of the unit itself. So overall, articulation on the Todesritter is actually amazing, and I really like the fact that they included some extension mechanics for the actual arms just to get out of the way of the shoulder armor, which is very nice. So if you're buying this kit for posability, it delivers. Accessory wise, you do get the generic Gundam loadout plus a few extras. So first of all, let's start with the beam sabers that are stored inside of the forearms. They are clipped in there very securely, but they come out very easily as well if you want to pull them out. Of course, you can let the kit hold them, and it does come with some yellow SP13 beams, so you can display them alongside it. Or, if you really want to, this thing can pass off as beam tonfas if you so desire. So, take your pick. Next up, we do have the hyper beam sabers that are stored on the backpack, so they are plugged on very securely, and they just come off, just like so. And, to allow for the sub-arms to hold them, you just plug the storage hole into the peg on the top. So I have the orientation messed up, but I believe it is supposed to go this way if I want to hold it upright, and they just clamp it down. And of course this kit does come with some SB1 beams that are clear yellow as well. Plug them on, adjust the sub arms by yourself, and here you have it. But there are no way for any hands other than the sub arms to hold the hyper beam sabers, which is not really too big of a shame, but it is kind of expected as well. Next up, we do have the beam rifle over here that has a pink sticker for the scope. It does need to have some extra color details for it to be completely accurate, because it does look a little bit bland as it is right out of the box. So you basically take the hand cover out and put the beam rifle in, and here you have it. You do have the beam rifle being held by the Todesritter. Next up, we do have the shield, and oh my god, I really don't know what to say about this thing. Now sure, I could not blame them for using stickers for the diffused beam guns on the shield, but come on, at least give us a colored insignia. Considering the fact that they are molding this on an entirely new plate, a slight update of the design of the shield from the Babu would be appreciated, but no, of course they want to have some fold-on stickers for the insignia, because I don't know why not? So in total you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you do have 6 stickers here, so you have 10 on the shield alone. It is factually molded on an entirely new plate, so updates would be appreciated. Of course it does come with a polycap, so you can use this on any other kit that you want to, that uses a 3mm shield connector if you want to, and it does plug onto the underside of the arm very soundly, if I can get them aligned. So it stays on relatively well, not the best thing in the world, but my god, the stickers! And then last but not least, we do have the incoms. Now, people have been asking me, does this kit come with enough wires, or does this come with 2? Now, if you've seen the unboxing, this kit comes with only 2 wires, but 2 super long wires that still are sizably long when cut into roughly 6 equal pieces. So yeah, you can mess around with this all you like. You can either have 2 super long wires or 6 wires of your desired length. Now I'm only going to be doing this with 1 incom just because I can't be bothered to do it with 6. And you basically just plug the wire into the teeny tiny depression that is inside of the incom, just like so. It stays on very securely, and plug the other end into the housing unit that has the hole here. And only after I actually bend the wire do I realize that the wire is not strong enough inside of the housing unit. So the wire is not to blame. The wire can hold up weights perfectly, but it's either me or the housing unit inside is just not strong enough to hold up the incoms. So after testing it around for a little bit, I realized that the stiffness of the wires inside of the housing over here is dependent on the individual wire for some reason, but the eventual fate that they would droop is inevitable. Finally, the stand adapter that it comes with slides into the crotch grooves from behind and stays on there pretty well, but you will need to have an action base 4 or 5 that has this adapter, and that's basically a thick hole to a thick hole adapter. So now you can finally have the Todesritter displayed in the air. For comparisons, first of all, let me bring in the original Gundam, just because I never expected the Todesritter to be this large. And let's bring in a larger kit from the Universal Century, the Juristis Sinistra Dictus, which still does not have the height to tower over the Todesritter, but unfortunately I don't own any of the previous Pale Riders, so I cannot compare with any of the Pale Rider variants. I apologize. So that is gonna wrap it up for the Todesritter review. Now, I'm getting mixed feelings from this kit, but there are some positives in there. Let's say the overall silhouette, just because the height profile and the menacing look do allow this kit to evoke an aura akin to the Knights of Death. And of course, I really do appreciate Bandai for implementing some small mechanics into the joints to allow for maximum articulation with almost no obstructions with the armor whatsoever. But the structural integrity of the waist and the backpack are just not there. So the backpack, the binders fall off pretty easily whenever you're trying to move them, and of course the wires do not sit well inside of the binders themselves, but the wires themselves are the strongest I've ever seen for their thickness, so it is pretty good that Bandai actually used stronger wires for the incoms themselves, but the actual connections don't allow for the wires to sit in there tightly, so that's just infuriating. And on top of all the stickers that are needed to make this kit look presentable at least, so this kit will benefit heavily from painting, no matter which mode you're trying to go for. So with all of that factored into the final score, I'm only going to give this thing a 5.5 out of 10, because for the price that I paid for this thing, I expected much more. So that's going to wrap it up for me. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you did like it, please be sure to drop a like, comment, and also subscribe for more Gunpla reviews, Gunpla news, and all that kind of stuff. Subscribe to the featured channels on my channel page if you haven't, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.